Eight in the window is lovely, and when accompanied by another, it produces a nut flush draw, along with a gut shot.
Oh, no.
And yet it is Stojanovic who is speaking first, jamming into Dirk.
Go.
He will snap. Didn't pot it pre to get this much equity and then walk away. Everybody on their feet looking up eagerly at what is produced. Drum roll on Stoyanovic's kit, by the way, as the RFID did not scan it. Ace 10, 8-7. He flopped the nuts.
And I think a very reasonable limp choice here, Ali. A hand that really wants to see a flop, but doesn't necessarily want to raise and face a 3-bet.
In particular, those suited aces are very appealing in PLO. You want to play hands that produce the nuts, cards that interact well with one another.
Haritze would rather have only, sorry, I thought he had 3 spades in his hand. I was going to say he'd rather have 2. He does have 2. Get 46% here.
Yeah, he needs a third on the board, though, and instead on the turn, it's a jack. Note that Stojanovic has picked up the nut flush draw. It doesn't need it. Haritze still with 30% equity as he tries to keep his seat here. It's going to take a spade. King or an 8 would have worked as well. Instead, it's the deuce of diamonds, and I got to tell you, Alex, that is a whole lot of roadblock being cleared from the path to victory here at this FT.
Certainly one of the tougher, more experienced PLO players, both in cash games and very recently playing the Triton circuit, playing a lot of high-stakes PLO events. So the players will be happy to see such a tough opponent eliminated early. In this case, he has 1 backdoor flush draw and a nut gutter. Is that going to be enough for him to call off on the flop here? I think it's very close. I think with 2 backdoor flush draws, he would have quite a clear call. With just the 1, it's a little bit tricky.
And it comes from Lindy.
Yeah, calls on.
All right, he does ultimately say all in, and of course with some frequency, we do expect the aces to be revealed, which they are. Lindy. Very cozy. 70-30 spot roughly for 8.25 million, and a chance to keep his seat and fight on deeper.
He does have the backdoor diamonds covered, by the way, Ali, so really an 8 or a jack, what Zhou Xuan is looking for here.
Eight. I like 8.
You heard Zhou Xuan whisper, "I like 8." Yeah, I bet you do.
6 of hearts doesn't change anything.
Not a thing whatsoever. Jack on the end for a set, however. The straight.
It's showing a check mark by Lindy. Did
For
we get
Lindy,
the
the
graphics wrong? Oh, he made the
3-5.
Oh, I'm sorry. He made the straight on the
dangler.
turn. The 6 did change everything. I missed the low gut shot coming in. So only the 8 good there. Now, having said that, once you face this decision, I would likely go ahead and call here, because my opponent only has 8 big blinds to start the hand.
Yeah, Zhou Xuan's ready to go with this one. Should Lindy have been in a position to ask for the rest. Instead, though, Dylan will just call an extra 1.05 million. Pot grows to 3.5 roughly pre-flop. Just 1.1 effective to play for from here forward. Lindy finds a 10. Unclear what lurks for Zhou Xuan, not to be overlooked, of course, the spade draw. And that is enough, says Dylan, as he will ask Zhou Xuan for the rest. Xuan calls promptly, looks up anxiously.
No look. No look. Only look 3 card.
Those are good 3.
Yeah.
And what have we?
这把压得死死的。
没有，基本上。
Players seem to be struggling with the RFID technology, Ali.
Maybe the RFID is struggling with the players.
That's also possible. And look at this. Dominated, unfortunately, for Lindy, up against bigger flush draw, bigger pair. And those jack outs no good.
Listen, it's not often that you can be better than 4-1 with 2 to come for all of it, but that's exactly where Zhou Chuen finds himself here. 5.6 plus.
And not often that you have 18% with this hand on this board.
Now a king opens up the door to a chop if a queen rolls off for Lindy.
10 or a 9 to scoop, queen to chop, any spade, no good for Dylan Lindy.
Oh, and the 9 on the end.
Wow.
It's 10s and 9s as the deck does the dirty to the aces and nuts spades of Zhou Chuen, unceremoniously and mercilessly dispatched in 7th, just shy of $300,000 for the efforts, but that one hurt.
Yeah, that one stings, Ali.
Well, Chidwick's chiseling once more. This time we don't know what's motivated him. What we do know, though,
I apologize. That was a call. That was a call.
is that Lau has announced call, clarifying with the dealer, by the way. King 10, 9, 7 with spades.
A little loose, I think, here from Cao Quan Lau. I do understand that he covers Chidwick and he has the button, but facing this pot size open, single suited variety, this is definitely a little bit on the loose side.
Top 2 with 2 hearts on board. Clear what Chidwick's got on the stovetop. There it is now. Nut hearts with the overpair. We could see some flammability here.
It feels inevitable. 2 big hands on this board. SPR under 2.
10 seconds.
And I really like just potting if you're Chidwick here, trying to deny equity.
Boy, and you know, with that wet texture, those 10s and 9s are puckered. Even though it's quite a bit of hand, it recognizes that Chidwick's willingness to pot here isn't just with an overpair and no draws of any sort, as Lau will hold his breath and get it in.
Huge moment here.
Dobles.
Slightly on the wrong
Dobles.
side of this
Tiene
flip.
damas y flotro.
As you hear Lau giving his rail the update in Spanish, no less.
一把没赢，我操！自从我操，剩8个币了。8个币。
Tense moments for Stephen Chidwick, who came into this
very
one
brave.
second in chips, one of only
Very
2
brave.
8-figure stacks, about $6 million back of Richard Grieco at the onset. Now facing elimination if he can't find any improvement. And the 3 comes in to counterfeit the 10s and 9s. Improvement comes swiftly as you see Lau looking a bit dejected. However, 10s, 9s, kings, all would spell the end for Mr. Chidwick. And instead it's the 5 of spades.
Verification, final table.
真硬呀他。
And that pot is big enough to call for the floor to come over and ensure that the accounting is done properly, although there is no question to whom this pot belongs. And Stephen Chidwick fades elimination there. With a very pretty ace, jack 8 with spades.
10 seconds.
Always nice when you're in a position where you're going to be raising a lot of junk hands, Ali, to pick up one this strong. People think you could have anything.
Swiping right. So he lifts us to 800K.
10 seconds.
Ooh, and it's a match, as 2 kings could very well be a customer here.
I think so. 9 big blinds against a player.
2 million.
Yeah, and you see Lau with no hesitation. Alex says pot, and unfortunately the timing could not be worse for him. Just got doubled through by Ding Biao and now has his back up against the wall against Chidwick, who snaps.
那我就抠了我不出。
Perhaps a crackle and a pop soon to come.
，AK 和 AA。
$6.2 million is the look of worry. Washes across Kakwan Lau's face. 8-4-3 rainbow. He does find a tray. But the worry story remains. Ace is still best. Just shy of 3-1 with 2 to come, and considerably better than that with 1 to come. Just 18% is Kakwan Lau to fight on here with 6 remaining in the 50K, and the 9
Elimination on the
ain't
final.
gonna cut it. A 1-2 punch
Good game, man.
sending him to the mat as he is knocked out. $386,000 worth of smelling salts. Play PokerGO, where the action never stops. Jump into free online poker with real competition and zero risk. Grind the ring games, run deep in tournaments, and spin the wheel of gain in the brand new No Gamble, No Future Sit and Goes. No deposits, no bots, no gimmicks, just pure, authentic poker. Play now at playpokergo.com, available on web, iOS, and Android. Well, Stojanovic perhaps going to look to make some dollars. Queen, queen, 10-9, reaching for chips. Plays it as the limp. Really just anxiously awaiting Chidwick's reaction more than anything else when we do this.
Yeah, no ace in our hand.
Oh,
Ooh,
no.
and look at this.
Double suited ace-ace 5-5 here. More than strong enough, and note the diamond coverage for Chidwick to wag a finger in the face of the limp.
10 seconds.
Something that we are anticipating that he's going to do with a broad array of kit just based on the presence of Ding Biao and the ICM pressure. We don't expect it to be tethered to hands as strong as this. But here's Chidwick having woken up with one. Ryko can put ace-8-6-6 to bed.
10 seconds.
Yeah, clear fold from Greco, but he could have gone into some trouble if he picked up something relatively strong, knowing how wide he expects Chidwick to be isolating there. Quick call from Stojanovic. He didn't limp his hand to fold it. And these queens and jacks and kings hands can make for good limp calls in situations like this, especially when accompanied by some relevant cards. Oh, and look at this, Ali.
Queen, Trey, Deuce. Stojanovic finding top set here. Just what the doctor ordered. Now, Chidwick, absent hearts, does have a wheel gutty.
Yeah, just a cooler at this point for Chidwick. He's got a very easy
million.
pot.
And he announces 4 million full pot. Stojanovic is going to double check, and 4.2 in front of him. The rest is going to find its way into the middle. Of course, Chidwick will snap the extra 2 1/4 and look up at very bad news. The deck has done dirty deeds on the day already, and a 4 would be very filthy.
4 and ace still has 6 outs to improve.
Nope. 1 ace and 1 4. Not actual live outs as they disappeared in seen hands that have been binned. Six of spades turn.
Another
Things
6.
remain sterile. That's exactly where Stojanovic wants them to be. Don't muck about. Don't do anything bacterial. Oh! The 4 for an absolute nasty dispensing of Stojanovic.
Important
Understandably.
as we look at these two hands.
Yeah, a little bit of kings and queens bias is en route here as Lindy's 8s and 7s with diamonds limping the button. And they're going to get leaned on.
Very practical limping choice from Dylan Lindy here.
9.6.
A hand that, again, just wants to see a flop. Doesn't want to raise and be forced to put in all the chips.
4x from Chidwick. Minces the ace-jack suited.
And just a clear call here from Lindy with a hand that's going to be very, very easy to play post-flop. You flop a set or you don't pretty much, barring some other straight or flush combo draws.
Well, Lindy does hang in there. will enjoy the benefit of position and a set of 8s on a Jack 9-8 2 club damp board texture.
Bit of a tricky one for Chidwick to navigate here. Stack to pot ratio about 1.5. You're not going to be thrilled when all the money goes in, but you do have those 2 queen blockers blocking some of Lindy's strongest hands.
10 seconds.
This board in general is going to interact quite favorably with Lindy's hand. We do see that he's pulled ahead with a set of 8s.
4 million.
Chidwick does just elect to pot it here.
Trying to keep things uncomplicated, but of course, if we're dealing, especially with a little straight draw backup, which of course, as we can see, would be no good if the 10 came in, he's not stepping aside. Instead, he slathers another 4 million atop the 1.8, and 15.6 floods the purse. Chidwick looking to spoil the fun with a 10 queen or king here. Lindy with heaps of equity though. 70-30 favorite with 2 to come. Chidwick found something filthy with a 4 on the end earlier. Such luck on this turn as you see the diamond draw removing some of what would have otherwise worked for Chidwick, who's down to 6 outs. 5 in actuality with the king of clubs removed. And for good measure, Lindy morphs from a set of 8s to an 8 high flush, and he morphs up. And I am the student, and you're going to show me how to snatch the pebble. Wow, nobody looking to snatch the blinds. Limp check back from Chidwick.
Interesting flop here, Ali. Chidwick has the naked ace of spades. Greco has a flush. Things could get interesting. Excuse me.
Yeah, this is a well-dressed 9-5 versus the disrobed ace on the monotone board texture.
10 seconds.
Chidwick could get frisky. And it looks like he's going to do so in the form of a lead. Is this 2/3? No, 1/3. Single chip.
Just a question of how far he wants to take this. Note that he doesn't have the nuts, as 10-9 of spades is a possibility, and perhaps even some flushes that contain the 10 or the 9 might be more likely to call down. 2 pairs.
That's 750,000.
Yeah, nothing to do but call here from Greco.
Yeah, really frozen by the line taken by Chidwick, who has to be asking himself whether or not 2 pair would be flatting here on this turn, as once again an irrelevant development, this time in the form of a 6 of diamonds coming off the stub. 4 million in the middle, and some measure of relevance, I don't know. A set of 6s doesn't feel like it's getting the job done against a lot of the range that would be sticking around.
You
right?
do pick up some showdown value, though, against those 2 pair holdings, especially given how small Chidwick bet on the flop and the turn. I think you pick up enough showdown value that perhaps you're just content to check this back. I mean, Greco can even peel with some, he could potentially even peel with just like king, queen, 10 combinations with a spade, potentially looking to bluff himself or just looking to show down if he makes his straight.
So the sizes, having retained some hands that the 6s performed decently against, Chidwick electing not to put the dry ace to work.
Exactly. Certainly, I think all the flop 2 pairs would have made it to this point in the hand.
Now, does Greco open the action here and pursue value? Are there traps ever?
It's a little tricky, and if he does, it does open the door, of course, for Chidwick to go for a check raise.
Up on the rail there, center screen at the top, as you see Chidwick come with the check pot. And boy, thought maybe it would be those feet that were smelling funky, but instead it's the line from Chidwick.
And Ali, when you bet something like the 3rd nut flush, or the 4th nut flush rather, as Greco on the river, and you face this pot-sized raise from Stephen Chidwick, you are just instantly regretting having made that bet. Because you know that this is an option. You know that this is not a guy that you can just always pursue thin value against, because he's going to put you to the test. He's not going to do as much calling. I don't think in practice you're going to see the nut ace high flush raise fold with 2 million behind, but it'll be quite the move. And look, Greco does elect to fold.
Well, take a bow, Stephen Chidwick, as you risked leaving yourself with no more than 2 million in chips, leveraging the dry ace. Play PokerGo, where the action never stops. Jump into free online poker with real competition and zero risk. Grind the ring games, run deep in tournaments, and spin the wheel of gain in the brand new No Gamble, No Future Sit and Goes. No deposits, no bots, no gimmicks, just pure, authentic poker. Play now at playpokergo.com, available on web, iOS, and Android.
On the whale beachings, as we look at Ding Biao with a premium hand here.
Yeah, we're up to date on his button open to 2.1. Understandable. His dedication to the holding. Diamonds are smothered here by Lindy.
10 seconds.
Ace Queen 9-7. He's got plenty of chips to maybe grab the sheriff's badge.
Pot.
Yeah, there it is. One syllable, 3 letters. And the rest of Ding Biao's chips have been summoned. Wow, Chidwick double-suited ace, king, queen, deuce. Alex.
This is very interesting because if Chidwick were to say, yeah, and Chidwick does just let it go. If he were to go all in, then Ding Biao can actually fold and try to ladder up.
I was just thinking the same thing, but look how classy Chidwick kept it. Never a second thought. He decides absolutely this big ladder is way more on my mind than accumulating some chips and taking a risk unnecessarily. That is a professional step aside from Chidwick, and he will be happy to allow Dylan Lindy to do the heavy lifting potentially and finally get rid of Ding Biao. He has been resilient, already having doubled on multiple occasions. Is he going to be able to do it again? Queen 10-6, he finds bottom set, but just take a look here. Gut shot straight draw for Lindy. Is a dirty snowman?
Running full house possibilities as well for Lindy.
Yeah. Can't overlook it. Now queens and nines.
No.
Yeah, you hear Ding Biao recognizing the additional outs. 8 of them in total. 7 in actuality with the queen of diamonds busy. The deck has lacked mercy on the day, and yet again, it does so. An 8 on the end for the 10 high straight.
Unlucky.
All happy.
I'm not unhappy. Unlucky.
Ding Biao's first words. All happy? Well, yeah.
Hey.
I would say they are all happy. Ding is, even though you have yet.
Did he perhaps not
get to-
realize, Ali, that he lost the pot?
Okay.
Pot.
Maybe the razor was one of the first ones I had?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the second
Oh,
one?
wow, you did it right.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, flipping 2.1 million into the middle is Lindy with ace 10-6. Now, queen jack 9 is a good bit of kit here for Greco. I don't know that he's looking to rip, but
Yeah,
defer.
It's a little bit close because and he does rip.
Wow, talk to us.
Well, he thinks that he has some fold equity because of how wide that Lindy should be opening the button.
6.6 million.
He's just run into it, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, he has.
All in.
And something smells on the bottom of Richard Greco's shoe, and it's the aces that he stepped in. The unpleasant odor of this 22.1 million pressed into his treads. 35% equity. Can he scrape his way out?
And if he cannot, heads up between the two good friends.
Wow. A wrap on the 10-8 deuce board. There's some wriggle room.
Greco pulls to an equity favorite without improving to the current best hand.
Board pairing 8 is disappointing. No spades to speak of, and you see the cards required for Richard Greco to get off his feet and back into his seat with 22.1 million in front of him. And the queen will do it.
What was the
Jacob
10
and
points I
Nina
chose?
working together.
10 seconds.
We'll check back. A rare three-way affair.
10 in the box.
2.4 in the middle. 8-6 deuce. Middle set for Lindy. Top pair and a gut shot here for Chidwick. Backdoor spades. He will knuckle. Still working jacks is Greiko. 6 dangler.
And is this just too much hand for Chidwick to get away from with a stack to pot ratio under 2 for himself here, I wonder?
Well, maybe we're going to find out in short order as Lindy, with plenty of reasons to put something out there.
Yeah, and Chidwick's going to feel like he has some amount of fold equity in addition to just having pretty good equity against most hands. Can't be putting Lindy on a
10
set.
seconds.
That's 700,000.
In fact, when Lindy bets this small, it makes me even more likely to just want to go for a pot size raise as Chidwick, just knowing that my opponent might be just going for one of those small stabs and have a few more bet folds.
As you mentioned, this $4.5 million may convince itself that it has some fold equity
10 seconds.
as well as some raw equity.
Call.
Time extension.
However, he does just take the more passive route and call. Also very reasonable. Ugly spot for Greco here. Tempting to peel given the price, but quite likely you're dominated one, kind of both directions. He doesn't really have any immediate draws. He's got some mediocre running straight draws.
Wow.
Interesting. He
What's
goes for
this?
a bluff raise here, thinking that he has enough equity to get it in against Chidwick's calling range, but can put pressure on some of Lindy's hands.
This is a very funky choice from Greco and one that he didn't need to make. I mean, you might think he would be content to simply step aside, avoid crossfire, and yet he's seizing initiative here.
10 seconds.
It's a bit surprising to me, especially with a lack of barrel ability. He doesn't have a lot of runouts in which, if Lindy does call, he can continue this play. Just the naked.
Time extension.
Now, on the other hand, you do want to select some of your bluffs from hands that feel like they're just not quite strong enough to call, but have some interaction with the board. Greco does meet some of those criteria.
Call.
Now, what an interesting spot for Chidwick. This pot is ballooning, and Chidwick may feel that by folding now, and he does, Ali, he gets away.
And you might have thought he would have been lured into that one just based on the tantalizing math of it all. But considering also that Greco's willingness to take that line should be affixed to something that would leave Chidwick in kind of a less desirable spot.
6 million. I bet it's now 6 million.
A third of Greco's remaining 18 million and 60% of what's in the kitty. That's the figure dialed up by Dylan.
Time extension.
All in.
What?
All in. All in.
And he moves in.
Greco going all in here.
This is a bit of a wild move, using his 5 blocker and his 6,
I'm all in a call.
but he's really run into it, Ollie.
He sure has. And note, by the way, the prosperity
about what was
of
going on
Chidwick's decision-making here is all of a sudden he has allowed Greco to venture into the wilderness.
Yeah, Chidwick had a hand. He could have potentially just pot raised on the flop, and by just calling, he allowed Greco to really make a very ambitious play at the pot.
I mean, listen, far be it from us to lay any criticisms on a man as seasoned and in control as Richard Greco, but the imagery on our screen is not that which we anticipated by any measure when this one took shape.
No, I didn't look at Greco's hand on the flop and say, yeah, he's going to get all in here.
GG. Pay out, final table.
A board pairing 3 on the end, and the manner in which Richard Greco gets out of that seat, Alex, suggests that 98.6 isn't going to be the reading on any thermometers placed near him.
Yeah, even.
Let's play PokerGo, where the action never stops. Jump into free online poker with real competition and zero risk. Of Find the ring games, run deep in tournaments, and spin the wheel of gain in the brand new No Gamble, No Future Sit and Goes. No deposits, no bots, no gimmicks, just pure, authentic poker. Play now at playpokergo.com, available on web, iOS, and Android. Meanwhile, Lindy mining Ace King 10 deuce. Chidwick says, let's spin. 9885 with
Can't be pocket
diamonds.
fours.
A stone flip.
I'm going middle. You're going high and low?
Yep. I'll take 3/4.
It'd be tough with these two hands.
It would be. I think impossible.
Looks impossible, yeah.
Yeah, I think impossible.
Well, it didn't take long for these two to play for it all. 6.4 million, an actual 50-50. Will Chidwick find the double, keep this fight going, or will Lindy complete the one-man wrecking ball? Ace Queen deuce certainly looks like the latter, more so than the former. No diamond on board.
I've seen you come back from worse.
Nothing beyond an 8. That's all that will keep Chidwick intact. Facts remain on the turn. Is it Dylan Lindy's day in the sun? Only the stub knows. And yes, deuce is full of aces for good measure as the two friends embrace.
Hey, if someone had to come back.
Well, Dylan, congratulations. I mean, this final table, this event filled with elite established pros. Does this one carry any extra meaning because of that?
This one carries a lot of extra meaning because of that. It was a very difficult tournament. Obviously, I had to be pretty lucky to win. And then getting heads up with one of my best friends in the world, yeah, I couldn't imagine it going any better.
Take me through that. Because of that friendship dynamic, does it make it a little bit easier, a little bit more difficult?
Kind of makes it, well, somewhat more difficult because he knows how I play very well and he's better than I am at poker, but also easy because if he wins, then I'm happy too.
Well said. Well, tell me this. Last question for you. What makes World Series of Poker bracelet number 3 most gratifying for you?
It was just kind of the dream I chased from the beginning of poker. So I think getting one in a big event like this means a lot in a high roller. I had been kind of struggling in World Series high roller specifically with success in other tours. So it feels nice to book a win here in this.
Breakthrough summer you've had. Congratulations. And with
Thanks.
that, it is my honor to present you your 3rd World Series of Poker bracelet. Hold it up to that camera. Once again, congratulations.
Congratulations indeed, as Dylan Lindy beaming and brimming with both pride and payout. Well, Alex, final thoughts?
I like this one.
It was a fun day of cards, Ali, and what a performance from Lindy, coming in short stacked and finding his way to the gold bracelet there, taking down his close friend Stephen Chidwick in a short-lived heads-up battle.
And I'm sure you're glad it was short-lived because you've still got time to get out there and late reg an event yourself. Best wishes to you, my friend. Certainly hope everybody out there enjoyed this 50K PLO final table as much as we did. As always, on behalf of our entire crew here in Las Vegas and my partner Alex Livingston, this is Ali Najad saying so long, and we'll see you next time from the WSOP